Hello, everyone, and hello again if you've been with us since this morning. First of all, can you tell us on the chat if you can see and hear us well? Okay, perfect. So just sorry, just before we start, I'd like to give you a few details. As we have a huge number of participants online, don't be surprised if a technical problem occurs. Rest assured, you will have access to the replay videos, and the TMG team members are on hand in the chat room to help you if you have any concerns. I invite you to ask any question you may have in the question tab. So that's at this moment, Nick and Alex can answer your question at the end of the conference. As there are a lot of us, please observe the rules of the decorum and respect for our speakers and other participants. Maybe perhaps you have little words to tell us, Nick and Alexander, before starting.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Hamza. So hi, we are the AB Tasty team. So part of the AB Tasty team. So I'm Alex. I'm the head of customer success for AB Tasty in North America. And I'm here today with Nick. Nick, I'll let you chime in.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Alex. So my name is Nick Stratton. I'm one of the senior CSMs here at AB Tasty. So I've been with the company coming up on 3 years now. A lot of my day-to-day work is working, very closely with clients in terms of their testing or their optimization program. And one question we get from really all clients, like big and small, mature and immature, is how can we come up with really solid test ideas for our website, and really where should we be focusing all of our efforts? So that is what we're going to be diving into today, of course, for the remainder of the session. And the next slide here will just cover a bit of the agenda. All right, so about the agenda, going to be covering a variety of topics today. First things first, just a little bit about AB Tasty. Okay, so who we are, really our core capabilities of our platform. We'll walk through kind of a pretty typical website, e-commerce funnel, where we'll start with the homepage. We'll go through PLPs, PDPs, the checkout funnel. Excuse me. We'll just talk about where we generally recommend and see these tests being executed from our clients. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a bit of talk about personalization from Alex, and then leave a few minutes for Q&A. Alrighty, so a little bit about AB Tasty. Okay, so we are the optimization partners, pushing brave ideas from the inside out. And how exactly do we do that? Okay, we do it really through AB Tasty's experience optimization platform. So that's really what we call our suite of tools here at AB Tasty. And what this suite of tools allows you to do is really take the guesswork out of optimization and really empower a wide range of personas, right? So empowering digital teams, e-commerce teams, product teams, really making it so, whether you're a marketer, you're a product manager, you're a developer, you can all use AB Tasty's suite of tools. You can use it effectively, really use it in ways that work best for you and your team. So diving into this in just a little bit more detail, AB Tasty has both web, so client-side, and API-based server-side capabilities. So we've been an industry leader in experimentation and personalization for multiple years. We've also recently expanded our product offering to include both search and recommendation capabilities. So it's just a little bit about us. Don't want to focus too much on that today. I want to focus more on you, your website, and how we can uncover some of those hotspots for experimentation. And I will pass it over to Alex to lead the next few slides.
Thank you, Nick. So yeah, this is a very, very key topic for customers and for anybody who wants to start a testing programs and look for ways to optimize a funnels. It's where to start. So there are multiple ways to find things to test. A lot of different sources. Could be something very easy. Maybe you have like a customer service team, that gets a lot of feedback from your actual customers, and so you know what you should emphasize on, what information you need to deliver. Everybody complain about a specific part of their purchase experience, for instance, and you can run some tests to try to again improve communication about that specific topics. You could also grab the low-hanging fruits that are like best practices that you can find like on blogs on everywhere else. But at some point you may have like the white page syndrome and don't know what to do anymore. This can happen at various stages of your process, but there are a lot of methodologies that can help you find test IDs. The idea is just to really come with hypothesis to challenge the existing and make sure that you can find an uplift and what works best and for what segments of visitors. So here those 5 questions to ask are very good place to start. So it's when you analyze a page, you will always keep those 5 keywords in mind. So the relevance, the clarity of the information, anxiety, distractions, and urgency. It's also very good timing to introduce to a concept of cognitive burdens. Sounds very, very serious, but actually a very easy way to picture that is to imagine that when your visitors browse your website or just browse a page, they have a limited amount of energy they can allocate to finding the value proposition of the page and go to the next step. If your visitor run out of this energy, this focus, they will leave the page. Many of them won't come back, and you can lose their business or just lose their attention. So if you always keep that in mind and make sure that your visitors have enough of that energy to identify what they have to do on the page, what the information they are looking for, and how to go to the next steps. It's already like a win and really what makes your page functional. So first items, the relevance of the page. So you can have a very interesting information on your page. If it's not the one that your visitor needs at that specific moment, may not be useful. Clarity. So is it very clear for the user what is the next actions they have to perform? Then what may be distracting? So it means that if you want the user to click on a specific buttons to go to the next steps, there is no point of offering 2 different options. So you can either purchase a product or go on another page and look for some other information. That will be distracting. Here again, people who leave the funnels, they don't all come back on the same funnels later on. Anxiety. It's really important that people don't get anxious when they browse the page. Anything that is like a lack of information or too information that kind of says different things would create some anxiety and again create a cognitive burden. And then the urgency, so there will be the need for your visitors to convert. Could be something very easy like stress marketing, for instance, or if your business is very seasonal, if you're in education, in the education sector, people have to enroll before specific dates, and you can find some ways to push that deadline to your users so they have motivations to convert because there is a strict deadline to respect. And all of this has to be thought in a way that always keep the value propositions into account. Your page can have different roles. It could have a browsing roles, a commercial roles. It could be about the contents, about community. So always keep in mind what is the purpose of your page, what is its role, and then roll out those methods to find the best ideas and the best thing to challenge. All right, we can start with the first type of page to optimize, the homepage. So obviously, it's very important steps in your funnels. This will be the most shallow page. It's often seen as the ultimate landing page. Keep in mind that it's not necessarily true. Some people, they want to discover your brand, they want to discover your business, they enter through the homepage, but you have a large portion of visitors that directly enter through a PLP, through a product page because of social media or any type of marketing campaign, for instance. So keep in mind that the homepage is very important, but it has a browsing rules. Its role is really to have people stay on the site and then visit some other pages down into the funnels. So many areas to optimize. The header, very important, includes the main navigation, some information that might follow the visitors like during the whole journey on the site. But also how the categories are displayed, what type of content is pushed on that page, and obviously the layout to make sure that it's very easy to navigate and it can fulfill its roles and send users to other pages on the next steps. use case with our customer Lush. So this one is has a lot of context into it. So this was one of the first campaign that was launched by Lush when the COVID phase, the lockdown started. So obviously, e-commerce took even like a larger space into the organization strategies, and they wanted to optimize the homepage and really deliver some messaging, some content that was a good fit with the current context. So they modify the homepage and have two versions. The first version that was about self-care. So you can't leave home, you have to stay. Take care of yourself. And they were displaying some products about less spending, just time alone, and then like all that self-care products. A bit more about like think about yourself. They challenged that with an other version that was about care packages, kind of like the other way around. You can't see your loved ones, so you can send them care packages and then spend some time with them remotely, and just like send those gifts so people know that you're thinking about them, and so you can still spend some time with families even if that's difficult time. And that second version was a very big success with a click-through rate increase of 250% on the elements of the main heroes, and sales increase that got an uplift of $7,500 just during the time of the experiment, something they rolled out and that then became not a permanent change because fortunately that phase did not last like super long, but they were able to really customize the journey of the visitors based on that context. Another example here, this one is a very quick and efficient one. So on Pets at Homes, there is a section that you can see on both screens about the recently viewed products. And the idea here was just to work on the prioritization of that content and making sure it was visible above the fold on mobile when people were landing on the page. And you can see that there was an increase of engagements on that section that was already performing well with plus 143% engagement on that zone. Nick, let you take it away the lectures page.
Yes, thank you, Alex. All right, so PLPs, if we just kind of continue down like the natural funnel of most e-commerce websites, we arrive at PLPs. Okay, so formerly known as product listing pages, you might also hear them referred to as collection pages or category pages. Simply the pages on your site that lists all those items from a specific category. Four main kind of areas to test PLPs. The first probably being the most obvious, just being the individual product cards present on that page takes up the majority of that content, of course. And a couple different areas to potentially test within those product cards, not an exhaustive list by any means. We'll cover a few of them here. The first being imagery. Okay, so obviously there's going to be a lot of content on PLPs, primarily product photography, of course. So here you can challenge, that existing imagery on site with a new version of it, potentially a side shot, potentially when that product card is being hovered over, display some kind of different shot. Test potentially, studio imagery versus lifestyle imagery. Really just testing a bunch of different things to understand, hey, do any of these provide a lift? Do any of these increase click-through rate into those individual products? So imagery, obviously a big one. Second being price. Okay, so this could be either testing a higher price, lower price, removing the price altogether, and again, seeing that impact on click-through rate into those individual products. Third being CTA, so the call to action. Not every PLP, not every item on a PLP has a CTA, but if you have that content there, obviously it's worth experimenting on and optimizing. So it could be something like adding a add to bag, like a quick add to bag or something straight from the PLP page, and kind of test again the impact on potential add to carts in that scenario. Reviews. Okay, so big one here, testing either the presence or absence of customer reviews on PLPs. Could be testing the placement of those reviews. It could be testing the styling of those reviews displayed in stars or displayed in some kind of numerical format. Reviews are very important, and it ties kind of directly into badges here at the end, where it's really about social proof, right? So visitors like being able to see that other clients like a similar product. They bought a similar product. They've left really high reviews on that product. Humans tend to follow other humans, just from a kind of e-commerce psychological perspective. So if you have any areas on site where you can, really emphasize social proof, say, hey, visitors are purchasing this. This is a bestseller. Whether that's through highlighting reviews, whether that's through potential badges you might add to those product tiles. There's a lot of areas within that product card itself to optimize the test, and again, ideally increase that click-through rate into those PDPs. Okay, next is filtering. It's really the purpose of filtering on PLPs is to make sure that visitors can find the items that they're looking for and they can find them quickly. So this is really more relevant to those larger catalogs, those larger category pages that do have a lot of SKUs. Kind of ties directly into that cognitive burden that we talked about a couple of minutes ago, where visitors only have a certain number of energy that they can expend looking for the product that they're trying to find. If they can't find that in some reasonable amount of time, whatever that is, they'll likely leave your site potentially to a competitor and bring their business with them there. So a couple of different things we could do with filtering. It could be removing or adding some of the different filtering capabilities. It could be moving that filtering capability somewhere else on the page. So maybe it's left aligned currently, we can test it right aligned, or maybe somewhere in line on the page. It could be potentially testing pre-filtering certain pages based on what we already know about the visitor. So potentially if there were, let's say a visitor is really interested in shoes and they go to like a all clothing page on your website or something like that, being able to quickly and immediately pre-filter that page based on context we already know about the visitor, deliver them a more kind of personalized, relevant experience that could definitely lead to an increase in conversion for that specific action. All right, sorting. So kind of similar to filtering, but different. Sorting is really about how all of the content is actually displayed itself within the category page. By default, no pun intended there, most websites have generally like a default sorting method, sometimes just made by the merchandising team kind of randomly assorting products in any way they see fit. Generally, most websites come with different kind of out-of-the-box sorting options. So it could be worth to test, hey, let's test our default sorting method versus potentially bestsellers, those products that have the most reviews, testing based on priced highest or lowest, recently added products, et cetera, et cetera. So just giving visitors a different view of those same products and seeing if that has any impact on that click-through rate to PDPs. And finally, headers and banners. So if your PLPs do have some kind of header or banner present on the page, it's obviously worth to test here as well. This could be testing different promos. It could be testing different types of content, image versus video. I've also seen some clients actually input banners kind of the same shape and size as like a product card somewhere within that PLP itself to kind of break up some of that monotonous scrolling through all products that look exactly the same. Could be highlighting unique selling propositions. It could be highlighting, again, promos, different content you want to display. So a lot of, again, not an exhaustive list here, but generally what I'd recommend is starting with the product card information to where the majority of engagement and interaction is going to be happening on the page. So focus on that first, test there. And of course, there are a lot of other abilities to test on PLPs as well. All right, a couple of use cases here from our clients. We have one here from Clarence, and pretty simple test here, but what they did was they added a wish list functionality to each of their product cards within a PLP. If you're not familiar with what the wish list kind of feature and functionality is, it's essentially a way to like save a product, say, hey, I'm interested in that product. And it provides a really easy way to revisit that wish list. And then, of course, continue on through the rest of that checkout funnel. So add that product to your cart and then ideally make that transaction. So Clarence implemented this in an A/B test. And the result was almost a 2% increase in transactions. You might be thinking, hey, a 2% increase isn't that much. For brands that do significant amount of revenue, that 2% can add up quite a bit. And if you can get, of course, iterations after this test and continue to have those 1-2% wins, it's going to stack up into something pretty substantial. Okay, second use case, and I really kind of hammered this home around filtering, is that the whole point of filtering is really to make sure that visitors can easily find the products that they're looking for. They have a kind of finite amount of energy, and if they can't find what they're looking for quickly, they'll likely leave your site. So we have an example here from another one of our clients. They had a hypothesis that visitors were getting frustrated and just couldn't find the product that they were looking for. Their original filtering capabilities here was really just a very small call out on the right-hand side of the page, but can easily be missed by a majority of visitors. So in this test, it was an ABC test. So it was a A/B test with two variations. And in these two variations, in variation one here at the top, what the client added was just very small, kind of like pill-shaped icons calling out different subcategories of this main collection page. And then the second use case, very similar concept, but instead of just adding small kind of pill-shaped icons, they added larger squares with images that were clickable and brought you directly to that subcategory of shoes in this instance. So both variants performed better than the original. The variation V2 that won with the images actually had over 200% engagement, 200% more engagement compared to the original, and ended up leading to almost a 10% increase in transactions, which is significant for this brand. All right, and third use case here. So we touched on badging a little bit a couple slides ago. This is a great example of that. So what we have here is a client on the beach. They offer hotels and luxury resort bookings. And one thing that they struggled with on site was that they never really highlighted their kind of best properties, their best hotels that could potentially be rented out by visitors. So what they decided to test was adding a badge. So I know it's a little small. The badge says best sellers, and they added this badge to 50 of their top properties. This really ties into that psychological aspect of social proof, where visitors very much like to see that other visitors are also renting out the same resort, staying at the same hotel, purchasing the same products. So whenever you can emphasize that on your site, it makes that decision for just human nature a lot easier. Like, hey, other people are doing this. It must be a good resort. It must be trustworthy. It must be a good company. I have the confidence to also do that myself. So the overall results of this campaign, so it was an A/B test run. Again, this badge was added to their 50 top properties. And ended up with almost a 6.5% increase in total bookings for their company. Alex, I will pass it to you for your PDPs.
Right, thanks, Nick. Yeah, so now passing on to the product pages. So this is a very interesting page type because it's in many cases right in the middle of your funnels. So what makes it interesting is that we are really in between a content page, but also like we are pretty close to the checkout. And a general rules when it comes to testing is that the closer you are to the checkout or to the actual purchase, the higher results you can expect, or the higher impact per se. So let's say that to really put that into an examples, if you launch a test on your homepage and whatever it is, you expect a high impact on transactions, it's not very likely to happen. Just because you change something like a message or something on a page that is really far from the funnels, again, it is pretty unlikely that you will get a direct impact on transactions. So there is the concept of micro conversions and macro conversions. So when you're on the homepage, you want to work on the usability of the page and to direct people to other pages. And then when you arrive on the PDP and then a bit like further down the checkout, some actions that you will run will have a pretty high chance to get results and move the needle when it comes to transactions and revenue. So being in the middle of the funnels, you're like in a kind of an intersection between pages where the storytelling is very important. You have a lot of content, you have a lot of imageries. People focus on the product itself, but they also focus on the user-generated contents, on the kind of the small nudges with the social proof. So there's a lot of things into that mix, but you also want the page to be very functional. Usability is very important, and you don't want to make any UX design mistakes that could drive people away from the funnel. So that for all these reasons, this is a very key page in your process. So a lot of different areas you can work on again. So the page layout, so how the order of the how the order of the information is displayed. Product images and videos. Again, it could be for different reasons. If you work in the luxury sectors, obviously you want the craftsmanship of the products to be highlighted, so people will pay a lot of attention to that. If it's more like a utility products, like if you're, I don't know, you want to buy batteries or like toilet paper, something like this, obviously there will be a different mindset. But again, making sure the product is as expected, the quality that is expected, and all is very important. Shipping and return messaging, obviously very important. Depending on how your brand is perceived, it's very obvious that if you're a very big company with a name that everybody knows, they don't really want to have the confirmations that you have free returns and refund and whatever. But if you're a new brand on the markets, they don't necessarily trust you because they don't really know you either. So it's important to work on these reassurance elements. Again, the PDP will be a very good place to work on that. You can also work on the cross sales on any type of testing on call to actions. So the copies that you use in your CTAs, the messaging pretty much all around the page. Reviews and user generated contents, very, very important. Again, I mentioned in the previous sections that the homepage is not always the entry point on the website. It used to be the case before. If you have kind of a process of searching for a brand that does something specifically, and then you discover that brand, you enter through the homepage. But if you come from social medias, a lot of those links will directly point out to a product page. And that's why coming from social media campaign, it's also reassuring for them to see that some content from social media, from Instagram or anything else, will be on that page directly. Okay, so the nudge that we were referring to. Experience for new visitor against returning visitors. If you know the brands already, you have different expectations than in new visitors. They will be looking for reassurance. Mobile versus desktop. Obviously, you don't necessarily do the same actions and you don't really browse the web the same way. And add to cart behaviors and mini codes. We talked about wish list on the PLP, also something that would be very interesting on the product page. There is kind of the battle between the quick purchase and the add to basket options. Quick purchase is very good because you can secure the purchase of one specific product and make the path to conversion very short. But also you kind of skip the opportunities to add more product to that cart and to increase the average basket value. So that's why there is a lot of things that can be tested out. Again, the display, the usability, the content, the storytelling, pricing psychology as well. So a very interesting page, but also like a lot of parameters it takes at this stage in the funnels. Moving on to some use cases. So Hannah Anderson is a kids clothing brand, very famous in the US. And they had an interesting ideas about displaying the default size for products. So it means that they had the first hypothesis that came in with people looking to buy some clothes, like pajamas in that case, for toddlers. So by default, let's say that every product is displayed in, I don't know, like medium size for a 7 years old, just random examples. In that case, they were thinking that if someone is looking for pieces of clothes for a toddlers, it would be great to have that information and to use that for segmentation. So when they browse the site and arrive on a specific product, the product will directly be displayed in a toddler size. So basically putting the navigation into context and making sure that you don't have to do the additional efforts of picking the exact size that you need, because if you're looking for dozens of products during your session, it could be a little bit frustrating to have to pick the size every time. So here you're looking for a specific size at the beginning of your navigations, and the rest of the funnels will be adjusted to reflect exactly the size for your search. So as you can see, just making that change, that's kind of sounds simple, increase the clicks on the product list by 8% and the overall product purchase rate by 21.9%. Here another example on L'Occitane, the cosmetic brands. Here they wanted to use our widgets for the social proof. So you can see on top, you have the original add to bag button with the price on top of it. You also have the options for installments for the payments. So you can see there is just the add to bag buttons without the messaging above. You can see on variation one that there is a message, 549 people are viewing this product. It could be also adjusted with a specific amount of time in the last 24 hours, in the last 3 days, 7 days. And on variation two, the simple message, selling fast, indicating that this is a bestseller or that there is only limited stocks. And variation one was the winner in that case. And just with that simple nudge message, the transaction rate got an uplift of 5.76%, and the revenue per visitor increased by 3.36% as well. So very, very high impact for a change that is very simple to set up. A/B Tasty is known for the quality of the visual editors, but also with a library of widgets that you can very easily use, and that will just allow you to set up that message, taking into its own transaction data, and display that message in a very, very easy way. Next use case is with MeUndies. So that's an underwear company. And here, again, a very interesting use case because it refers to the idea that your product page can be the entry point of the sessions. Again, they have a very, very huge presence on social media. And they also have marketing actions always running. And so in that case, if they have their specific, like marketing operations, depending on seasonality that is displayed on the homepage, if you enter the funnel from a product page, you don't necessarily have the knowledge, like you're not necessarily aware that that operation is currently live. So here they made sure to display a message that refers to the ongoing, like whatever operations they have, to make sure that every user will be aware of that and that they won't miss that values and that will nudge them through the transactions. So again, a very clear winner here with an increase of transaction by 9.8%. Revenue uplift during the test itself. So typically a test will run around 14 days, sometimes a little bit more. So an uplift of $400K and an uplift of 10% on the clicks on the add to cart buttons. So just again, by displaying a message to make sure people are reminded of the current discount that they could benefit and the current value they could be getting with that purchase. And
all right, let's talk through the checkout funnel. You're probably one of the more interesting areas to test on for a variety of different reasons. So obviously within the checkout funnel, so cart, and then through the remaining steps, main information, shipping, payment, confirmation, etc. This is generally where you'll notice a pretty significant amount of visitors dropping off, as it's pretty much the moment in the customer journey that has the most amount of friction. So I'm sure many of us on this webinar feel the exact same way. But it can be tough to hand over your credit card information to a brand, especially if they're one that you've never purchased from before. You face a lot of questions and doubts, even if you were sure that you wanted this product up until you got to this point. You definitely start to get some doubts when you get into the checkout funnel itself. Do I really need this? Do I trust this brand? So it's really up to the brand to convince the visitor that they really need this item, that their site is safe, that their brand is well known and trusted, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really important that during this highest moment of friction, we're doing absolutely everything in our power to make sure visitors remain within our checkout funnel. And with that being said, there's about 9 different ways we've identified for how to optimize your checkout flow. And of course, test ideas can come out of some of these best practices here. So first, basket summary. So it's very important during checkout for visitors to know exactly what they purchased, the exact price that they're paying, not displaying any kind of hidden fees, not displaying any kind of inconsistencies based on what they thought they were adding to their cart. It can also be helpful in this area to test things like potential estimated shipping arrivals, things like that, just to give the visitor all the information they need to clear up all those doubts, clear up all those questions, confusion they might have about the process, and give you the best chance possible to secure that transaction. Second is the step progression. So it's very important for visitors kind of visually and even subconsciously to know how many steps there are of the checkout funnel. One of the main reasons for checkout abandonment is that there's just too many steps involved in the process. So very clear, you're on step 1 and there's 3 other steps remaining. You can just give that visual cue to your site visitors that this is how much extra effort they need to actually complete that transaction. What I've seen from other clients as well, kind of interesting, is testing that kind of normal multi-step checkout funnel versus potentially some kind of 1-page or 2-page checkout, some kind of accelerated payment or rather accelerated checkout option. I've been seeing a couple of clients do that recently. But just making that crystal clear about what's expected of the visitor during the checkout process and how much effort they still need to expend to actually complete that purchase. Okay, third is about cross-sells and product recommendations. So obviously it's great when a visitor has something in their cart and they make it all the way up through the last steps of checkout. It's also a interesting time to potentially present some kind of cross-sell, upsell, or product recommendations to that visitor. It could be something small, like I work with a sunglasses brand who just about when they're about to check out, they say, hey, do you want like a $5 or $10 sunglasses carrying case? And when you're already paying like $300 plus for a pair of sunglasses, that's a pretty easy upsell, and most visitors take that up on that offer. So it's just worth it if there are potential opportunities to serve your visitors add-ons, upsells, cross-sells, recommend them some other items that would enhance their purchase. Great way to boost AOV and capture that additional revenue from those visitors. Okay, middle column here, we'll start with logged in and guest checkout. Visitors expect, especially nowadays, to be able to check out, not having the need to create an account. So it's fine if you have that option, but it's worth testing if you don't to also offer a guest checkout option. Could boost your transaction rate. There's a lot of effort generally that's involved with creating an account, going your email, setting a password, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that goes into that. So giving visitors just the most streamlined opportunity to check out as a guest without having to collect, their account specific information can definitely lead to an increase in transaction rate. It kind of ties directly into the next point about account creation. Generally, best practice is that when you require an account to be created, there's a certain number of people that are going to drop out of that process. Whether competitors don't require that, it's too much effort. I don't even know if I want the product to begin with, et cetera, et cetera. So adding more steps to the checkout process is definitely not recommended. And again, ties back to the point of trying to make the checkout process as smooth, seamless, and frictionless as humanly possible. Okay, bottom here, we have form fields and microcopy. So the first thing I think about here is that certain fields that are required that don't necessarily have to be. So kind of just to play around with that is a good test. Like, hey, if you do have required fields that really aren't, you don't need to collect that information, try making those optional as well as making that label optional as well. And just seeing if that has any kind of impact on visitors completing those steps, maybe how long they're spending on that page and overall that overall conversion rate for checkout. Okay, right-hand side column here, payment methods. So visitors want the ability to be able to use their credit card, to use PayPal, to use Afterpay or some kind of a installment agreement. So it's worth testing if you only accept a certain payment method on your site right now. Open that up and include some other options that try to cover pretty much any scenario that a visitor might want to pay with. It's a good thing that they want to pay you. It's a bad thing if they don't have their preferred payment method. So expanding that out and testing a couple of different payment methods could potentially lead to an increase in transaction rate there as well. About coupons, it's important that if a visitor does receive a coupon, wherever that might be on site, that it's very clear when they get to checkout that this is exactly where you input this coupon. So just highlighting that field, it could be a test where you keep that field open by default or something like that, just to make it really high visibility and again make it very easy for the customer to input their coupon, get that discount, and continue through the rest of the steps of checkout. Okay, and then finally is the confirmation page. So a lot of visitors or clients rather don't really think about their confirmation page. They think that's kind of the visitors already purchased, so they've already done the heavy lifting. The confirmation page can also be a good place to run tests. It could be a way to boost account creation here on the confirmation page. Now that they've already purchased, they might be more likely to create an account. It could be a way to provide them more information about their order, kind of reassure them about the shipping time, about the your return policy, your 24/7 support, whatever that might be. The job's not done just after visitors purchase. There's still a lot left to go in the process. There's still a lot of conclusions that visitor can make about their brand based on their experience with that kind of post-purchase, with that post-purchase experience. So it is worth it to test on your confirmation page some of those potential use cases. All right, 2 case studies here from clients. So both actually involve the cart page directly. The use case here from Calvin Klein was that their kind of original site was that if you had an item in your cart and you removed it, there was simply just like a blank page there. Yes, there was a continue shopping button, but it requires a little bit more effort from the visitor to click that button and then continue to navigate through your site again. What they decided to test in the variation was instead of just having that button itself and making the visitor go back and navigate the site themselves, they pulled a couple items that they've purchased in their session, displayed that there, and just made it very easy for them to potentially click on those items that they already shown some interest in, easily add them to their cart, and then get right back into that checkout flow process. So Calvin Klein did just that. They reduced bounce rate by a little over 4% and increased transactions by 7.5%. A second use case here, also from a client, and this is specifically within their mini cart. But their goal was to increase their average basket size. And what they did was they displayed a progress bar telling their visitors how close they were to receiving free shipping. So this is a very good and a very visual use case here where clients can easily see like how much more they have to add to their cart to reach that free shipping threshold, especially if shipping potentially wasn't free on the site to begin with and it was $15, $20 or something like that. That can easily derail a visitor's momentum when they are in the checkout flow. So being able to visualize this directly in the mini cart, they don't get too far into the checkout process, gives them the ability to add some kind of add-on, another product, increase AOV. And that is exactly what Vanessa Bruno did here in this test. It resulted in a 3.1% increase in transaction, a €6 increase in AOV, and during the test period, a additional 90,000 euros in revenue. And again, that's just during the test period, not projected out to future business. So this is done through one of AB Tasty's widgets, as Alex mentioned before. Very, very easy to set up. And we can see the impact of this just in this very simple mini cart test. Alex, I'll leave it to you to talk about personalization.
Yeah, so I want to be mindful of the time. So this will be pretty quick and really I want to leave time for the question that I saw popped on the chat and the question sections. So yeah, personalizations. It's an equally important part of your conversion rate optimization strategy. Something that can be overlooked in many cases, like, oh, I want to focus on testing, and then when we'll have the bandwidth, when we'll have the expertise or the time or whatever, we're gonna focus on personalization as well. It's kind of a mistake in my opinions, because it can really allow you to get the value out of the insight that you get from your testing. So you want to challenge your content, you want to challenge the website that you have, the storytelling you have around it, the usability of the site. You will learn a lot for your testing, but keep in mind that you should not just take a look at what the reporting tells you for all the visitors that were exposed to that test. The best practices is always to split the analysis by segments. There could be very easy ones. By device, new return against returning visitors, by geo zones, for instance. But the idea is not to know like all the visitors that went through my test, they all prefer the variation one because I get an uplift of 3%. Maybe new visitors, they really love that new variations, they get an uplift of 12%. And maybe returning visitor, they hated it and they have -2% of conversion. So it's why it's really important to always filter your reports and have a segmented analysis. And then you can chain with personalization campaigns to make sure that ultimately you will tailor the journey of your visitors depending on their behavior, depending on their marketing personas, depending on the traffic source, sort of different options. So again, the testing will make you learn a lot, and then the personalization is really what allow you to grab the value that you can get from these learnings. Obviously, the segmentation takes a very big piece of that process. So again, we can segment based on behavior, device type, source type, different levels of loyalties. You have the one who just browse, the one who are disengaged, the one who are very loyal customers, etc. And then we also have segmentation based on emotions. So a lot of these segmentation options are kind of like presets. Sometimes like these are like data that you already have in a third-party tools that you can connect with a tool like A/B Tasty. But it really depends on how you leverage your own data, how you make them available on the site. But about emotions, we have a specific features about this. So first, a quick use case with our client Maj that wanted to really work on the abandoned carts on their website and offering the possibility for returning customers to continue the shopping or to view the baskets that they left during their previous sessions. And now, so about the specific features, Emotions AIs, it's really kind of let's say a supercharged type of segmentations that really base the analysis on emotional needs of your visitors on the site. A very good analogy is to talk about the online, like digital body language. If you're in a store, you will have like a sales associate. They will take a look at potential customers that want to browse. You have the people who know what they want. You have the people that are looking for the best price. You have people who really still don't know what they want to buy. You have the one that needs to be reassured about the quality and so on. This is kind of the same service that Emotions AI provide, but really like measuring a lot of different data points, and they will provide an audit and to analyze like what type of emotional needs really browse the site and which ones convert, which ones do not convert. As an example, for instance, you could see that for a category page, we had the results of an audit that show that some people were looking for competitions on the site, which means that they were aiming at being the best or to look for the best product available. For these, the social proof will be pretty important, and so you can see that there is the small stars with the feedback from previous customers. This will be an information that they really like because they want to make sure that they get those 5 stars product. Here you could see that the conversion rate for that competition segment had an uplift of 9% conversions. If you have another emotional traits, so the need for immediacy, in that case, they really like the streamlined experience, and they don't really want to have a lot of information because they know what they want. And for this one, you can see that there is still an uplift of 2%, but not having those kind of like social proof contents was something that resonated more for them. I saw in the chat that there was a question about like these are all e-commerce's use cases. Obviously, like for the sake of those type of presentation, e-commerce is a very good medium. But if you just sell a service, and I saw that someone mentioned healthcare, for instance, all of these practices are also applicable. So it's not only about the proper transaction. This could be about selling a service, about generating leads, about wanting people to interact with content. And we actually have customers in the healthcare industry that use Emotions AIs. And their audit was saying something very interesting. For instance, that the visitors that really liked the most their experience on mobiles, they were the one looking for competitions because they were seeing like an ad, they were browsing to find the best healthcare on their mobiles. They were looking for the best plan available. So this was a need for competitions. But when they were on desktops, they were actually found out that they really were looking for safety because this is where they want to place the payment. So you found the best plan that you're looking for. and then you have to go through the payments, and you're looking for safety because you don't want it to be a scam. It's a lot of money. This is a big investment because a lot of cost, could be associated to that decisions. So you can see that there are different emotional needs that are, needed based on the device they were using. So just wanted to put that into a context because I saw the question on the healthcare. All right, this is all for our reports. I think we can switch to the questions now. I see we had a questions. Nick, maybe you want to take a look at the list as well. We had a question, I think, on the impact on SEO, on how to optimize SEO through testing.
You might be better versed in that than I am, to be totally honest.
All right, so let's kick it off with that one. So start live answers. Okay, so this question is, can you explain to people that A/B testing in SEO requires split testing? So as a disclaimer, this is the SEO testing is really not our specialties. We are far from being experts in the SEO space. But what you have to keep in mind is that for the different type of testing platform you have, the technology that's behind it will play a great part, especially when it comes to SEO. For instance, our web platform is client-side technologies, so you can't really use that to optimize SEO. There would be content pushed in JavaScript, so there will be some technicalities behind it. The fact that they are a pretty short test and that SEO is more something that will get an impact on the long terms. So you can't really ship some keywords with this type of platform and expect an impact on your SEO strategy. On the other side, there are some best practices to make sure to follow so you don't negatively impact your SEO. Here, there is a mention of a split testing. This is a specific type of test that use redirections. So again, client-side testing platforms will not redirect user to a different page. If you have 4 variations to your test, they will still be the same page with overlays of modifications rendered in JavaScript. But again, you still just have one page that you pushed from your service. With a split test, it means that you will build an entirely new page. They will be hosted on a different URLs. And for 50% of your traffic, for instance, you will redirect these users immediately on page load to that second page. There will not be something that's visible for the visitors. They should not know that they are part of the test. So in that case, it means that this will be not really a server side, but you really have another page that you can index. But the thing is that you also need to make sure that you're not flagged for duplicated content, for cloaking, or those kind of things. So again, I just want to put a disclaimer that SEO is something that you really need to assess correctly when it comes to testing. Split testing could be a way, but again, we're not experts in that matters. Server-side technology, so API-based product, could be a better fit because it means that you will directly push content from the backend with different keywords. So there would probably be a better option for that. But yeah, so hope that shed some clarity on that questions, and we can switch to another one. Nick, do you want to pick the next one? I see there is one on the B2B or SaaS use cases that have four votes.
Yeah. All right. So I think I am answering this question now. Yeah, thoughts on use cases around B2B SaaS. Again, as Alex mentioned earlier, there's no real, obviously there's a difference, but a lot of the strategies we talked about today, a lot of the use cases can be applied, whether you're in e-commerce store, B2B SaaS, healthcare, et cetera, most clients in my portfolio come from a variety of different backgrounds and a variety of different industries. And I found that I can present similar concepts, similar ideas to really businesses of any size. As for specific use cases, it really depends on the company, depends on the goal of the page, et cetera. What I will say is that on our website, so abtasty.com, I know we recently rebranded. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we do have use cases across a variety of different industries. So B2B SaaS, e-commerce, healthcare, lead gen, et cetera. So I recommend going to our website, going through some of those potential use cases we have there, and then emailing us if you have any questions. We can definitely clarify that. But again, use cases really can be very similar across many different industries, and our website is going to be a great resource to dig into some of those specifically.
Maybe we have time for another question. So yeah, I guess we might be.
Yeah, guys, don't worry. Go for maybe one last questions, and I think we're gonna end the day with that. But yeah, go for a last question.
Got it. So I feel that one had 10 votes. So again, this is again about SEO. So for SEO, most of strategies, you need to wait 1 to 3 months so you can see real results. Having said that, what would you say is a good period of time the experimentation should be running? So again, had to put that into the right context for us. We are not an SEO company, so testing the idea of our CRO industry per se would be to make sure that you get the most out of the traffic that you acquired. And so you can optimize strategy by improving the overall experience of visitors on your site. But then, yeah, you will need to take into account the technology that is behind it. Obviously, SEO, again, not an expert, but I admit that it's probably like more of a long-term strategy. The type of testing that we do with UX optimizations, with like merchandising testing, sort of kind of things, the duration for a test is typically around 2 weeks. Could be more than that, but it's purely about the stats that you need. So you need to have enough data to for the statistic engine to find like which one is the winning variations, to get reliable data, to have the statistical significance, validating your results. So that's one of the reasons. So to make sure you have enough traffic and conversion that comes in. There is another aspect that is about the let's say the weekly cycles. So if you test for 10 days, it means that potentially you have some days of the week that appears twice in your reports. And if you test for 14 days, you're sure that you have every day of the week appearing twice in your test periods. So that's one of the things that can also like have some sort of impact on the data that you analyze, is that if you have 2 Saturdays, and let's say Saturdays are the kind of the highlights of your week, this is something that could like influence the data. So that's why we recommend to have tests running for 2 weeks, but that will be again for usability tests, UX tests. So kind of our core practices and expertise. When it comes to SEO testings, I think we have more experts in that room than we are. So yeah. So
maybe I can help on that.
Maybe you can help. Yeah, actually, that's like you're the one that can answer that question.
Yeah. Before I add something to that, Nick, do you want to say a word on that?
No, I think you are definitely the expert here on this. So interested to hear what you have to say.
That was not planned at all, but yeah. Basically, when you want to go for SEO optimization, when you start with an existing content, and that's about experimentation, you will start with something existing, and then you're gonna optimize that and test and learn and retest and things like that. The inertia, on average, it's around 30 days. But it can be way less. We can see results in like 2-3 days, depending on the type of website that you have. So when you talk about 1 to 3 months to have results, that's on average. Just so you have an idea, we make a study about more than 500,000 different pieces of content. On average, when you create a new page, so when you start from scratch, to have results, it's 6 months, between 6 and 9 months. When it's on an optimization, it's 30 days on average. But when you are a big website, lots of authority, Google sees you a lot because the crawl budget is good on your website, etc. It can be 2-3, maybe a week, and so you can have results really fast. So that depends on the type of website and the type of optimization that you're doing. Yeah, that was good.
We learned something today.
Yeah. We have a study about that. You just have to go to our website. We have a white paper about it. But yeah, that's why we partner. You guys are the best on testing. We are the best on SEO. That's the point. Okay. I think that's it for today. Thanks, guys. Tomorrow, we're going to kick off the day with Kevin and Dig. I don't know if you know Kevin, but the guy is amazing, really interesting, lots of expertise. Is also pretty fun. So that's going to be an amazing conference. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Alexandre. I think you're French, right?
I am.
Yeah,
History
Alexandre.
doesn't
So
last very
Alexandre.
long,
I was
usually.
like, okay, what's the name? So thanks, guys. It was really interesting.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, Kevin, it's 9 a.m. EST, so New York time. Come, it's going to be great. We're going to have amazing conference. I'm going to have a conference about AI classification, how to analyze your competition. So all about SEO. If you guys are interested in that, I'd be happy to have you there. See you soon. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening, and see you tomorrow. See you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.